What's up, everybody? I'd say good morning here, but it's not a good morning. It's not even close to a good morning. It is a bad morning, and I'm not even going to try to say it should be a good one, but I hope you find a way to make something good out of it. But yeah, we got some stuff to talk about today. I want to talk a little bit more about the game yesterday. Honestly, there won't be a lot more to talk about than that game yesterday because it was so bad, so telling, so troublesome, so just ominous that I think we can definitely keep going into that game for quite some time and continue to have meaningful things to discuss. But anyway, first, before I get into that, I want to go into the injury stuff because a lot of people are asking about that, and this stuff really matters. Even if this team is not going to have a good season, we still want these players to play and develop and turn into the players that we hope they can be. So, injury stuff real quick. Cross has a sprained big toe. Lucas, his knee injury from the offseason flared up. So, could have been way worse. Cross, sprained big toe, whatever. I'm not going to act like it's something that's going to be gotten over with immediately, but when he got carted off, it seemed like his season could be over. It looked bad. Usually, when they cart somebody off, it's bad. It's like really, really DEFCON 1 disaster stuff. So, a sprained big toe, he might miss a little bit of time. It's possible, or he might not miss any time, but it's nothing season ending or career altering. So, in the grand scheme of things, it's kind of a whatever. But obviously, just because it's a toe doesn't mean it's nothing. So, we're going to need some time here to figure that out. X-rays looked okay, so he's got a chance to get back this week, and that's great news considering how bad it could have been. Abe Lucas, his knee flared up, so it's not really an injury. It just kind of aggravated an old injury that he had from earlier in the offseason, which, I mean, it's really not good if he's developing chronic knee issues, but it also could have been a lot worse. He has a chance to be back very soon here, so hopefully things are good there too. But the fact that we made it out with just those two injuries being the case with those two guys is really, really good. Lockett had what was maybe a concussion, a head injury of some kind, but I think he played again after it happened, so odds are pretty good that he's fine and won't miss any time. That's really it for injury stuff. I don't think anybody else of significant note was hurt for in a significant way. So let's talk a little bit more about what happened yesterday and how some fans are responding to it and dealing with it. So there are a lot of fans who are definitely reacting very strongly to this, saying this is one of the worst losses ever. This is one of the most embarrassing losses ever. There are some who are saying, hey, our season's over. Or at the very least, they're saying, I've completely flipped on how I feel about this season. I've lost all my goodwill. I've lost all my faith and belief that this team can be good. There are some people who are saying this loss single-handedly makes our season over. And I'm not going to say that I'm one of them, but I do think this loss is a massive deal, and I think that it is indicative of a much lower ceiling and floor than I thought. I did not think this team was capable of playing as bad as they did yesterday. I just didn't. I don't think very many teams are as capable of playing as bad as the Seahawks played yesterday. I don't. But there are the people out there who are trying to calm everybody. They're trying to bring everybody down and even things out a bit. They're trying to get people to chill out, basically. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. You spend enough time in Seahawks circles, Discords, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, you are going to find some Seahawks fans who right now are trying to get people to chill out, calm down. You guys know the stuff that they say. It's only one game. It's week one. Week one's always weird. It's just one game. It's 1 week. They can make up for it later. The Rams always beat us. They say these things like that makes what happened yesterday to be okay, or at the very least on some level acceptable. And I want to talk about a few things there. And I want to talk about why I reacted so strongly to this loss. And I do feel like this redefines what we are as a team this year. Before that game, I thought that we were a playoff team, and now honestly I don't. Even if all the injuries are okay, I honestly have flipped on my feelings on this team significantly enough to where I no longer think we're a playoff team. So if you were wondering where I stand on that, there. So let's talk about some of these things. Um, like I said, people say it's just one game. That doesn't make any sense to me. There are only 17 games in a season. You guys know that, right? Like, it's not basketball, it's not baseball. Those sports, yeah, it's just one game. One game means nothing in baseball, but one game in football means a heck of a lot. There are only 17 of them. You frequently, pretty much every year, you see teams miss the playoffs by one game, or miss the division by one game, or miss a first round bye by one game. So it's just one game, has no effect on me. I don't know why people say that. I don't know why people think that. So I'm kind of tossing that one out right now. And the other another thing that they say is, well, it's just week one. Weird stuff happens in week one. And you know what? A lot of teams got embarrassed week one. I can scroll through the list of results from yesterday and Thursday and find plenty of teams that got embarrassed like we did. The Bengals lost 24-3 to the Browns. That's embarrassing. Maybe the Vikings got embarrassed. They lost to the Buccaneers that figured to be a terrible team this year. I don't know. I don't think the Vikings are going to be that good anyway, but you could say maybe they got embarrassed. The Steelers got embarrassed. They got humiliated at home by a team that flied 3,000 miles to play there. Maybe the Commanders got embarrassed by only beating the Cardinals by 4. I don't know. It depends on your perspective. Maybe the Broncos got embarrassed by losing to the Raiders at home, who figured to not be a very good team. The Giants definitely got embarrassed last night. You can make an argument that the Chiefs got embarrassed when they lost on Thursday because they have such high aspirations. But I understand that week one's weird, is the point I'm making here. Week ones are weird. You go to last year's week one, you will find weird results there too. The week one the year before. I remember the Titans got blown out by the Cardinals, and the Titans went on to be the number one seed in the AFC 2 years ago. So, yeah, that kind of stuff does happen. Week one is weird. But when there's supposed to be this kind of discrepancy between two teams, weird should mean a close win. Weird should mean a close game that comes down to the wire. That would be a weird game. If we had won this game by 3 points, or lost it by 3 points, or 1 point or 2 points, then it would be like, oh, well, that was weird, but whatever. It's week one. I would have some understanding of that. That's not what happened, guys. We got completely dominated. We got outscored 23-0 in the second half. We had like 3 yards of offense total in the second half. It looked like Alabama playing Pepperdine. It looked like we had the Pepperdine offense playing the Alabama defense. And I don't mean this Alabama defense. I mean the Alabama defense from, like, I don't know, 10 years ago. So how is that okay? Like, I understand that weird stuff and embarrassing stuff and teams not showing up in week one happens. But guess what? I don't want it to be my team. Not when they're playing this Rams team. If they were playing a typical bad team, and I know I'm assuming the Rams are going to be bad this year. I really do think they will be. But if we had, let's say you assume the Browns are going to be bad this year, and I don't know if they will be, but I think that there's a decent chance they will be. That's a normal bad team. That's a team that has some really good stuff on it that should make them not terrible. This Rams team was supposedly going to be terrible. You look at their roster, you see Aaron Donald, Matt Stafford, and then everything else is like replacement level, or a couple guys on offense are slightly better than that. But this level of week one weirdness does not need to be happening, especially not for a team that has aspirations of something pretty good this year, which is what I thought the Seahawks had before this game. But the big thing I really want to talk about here is this idea of it's just one game. And I need everybody watching this video to understand it is not just one game. It is a pattern that we have seen for years now. We see it come up frequently. Every now and then we have a game like this. Every now and then you see a result like this, and I don't really know how else to put it other than it's not just one game. It's this running theme with this defense that makes it so that not only do you lose at least a couple games a year that you should win, but you also have to live in fear of that possibly happening again at any time, and you just can't really do anything about it. You're just completely unprepared for it. So I want to take a look at some games over the last several years on this defense. Basically, last time the Seahawks had a good defense was 2017. Okay, 2017. And then 2018, the defense was very close to good. That was the last time we had a defense that was like noticeably above average. But it's not just one game. We see this game all the time. Like going back to 2019, play the Bengals, who ended up going 2-14 this season with washed up Andy Dalton throwing for 400 yards on us. Okay, remember this game, 2019 Week 1? Yeah. How about the Rams? A handful of weeks later, we play the Rams. Jared Goff throws for almost 400 yards on us. We don't get a single sack on him that whole game. Just picks us apart. And I know we win some of these games. Don't get me wrong. I know some people are going to say, well, we won that game. That's not the point. Hang with me here. You got this game. This game's against the Falcons. Remember this one? Matt Schaub throws for 460 yards. Their backup quarterback knifes us up for 460 yards. Yeah, remember that game? I think this was the very next week. Tampa Bay. Jameis Winston, 335 and no interceptions. Jameis Winston, the interception king. The heir apparent to Brett Favre. You let him throw the ball 44 times and you can't get a single interception. By the way, he basically was legally blind during this season and needed LASIK after this season was over. You still couldn't stop him. 335 yards, no problemo. Going on to a game like this one in 2020. Remember Week 1, 2020? All the games I just showed were 2019. Here's some stuff from 2020. First game of the year, playing the Falcons. Matt Ryan, 450 yards he throws on you. Next week, you play New England. Cam Newton, washed up Cam Newton, throws for 400 on you. Most other games this year that Cam Newton played, he threw for like 150, but against you, he throws 400 and almost leads this miracle come-from-behind win. The very next week, Dak Prescott throws for almost 500 yards on you. Almost 500, one of the best single-game yardage performances ever. A couple weeks later, you play the Arizona Cardinals. This was the big overtime comeback on the road, remember? Kyler Murray, 360 yards. Just throwing up insane numbers all over you. You've got, what is this? This is the Bills game that was, I think, 2 weeks after that game. Josh Allen throws for 415 yards. You fast forward to, I believe this is 2021. Yeah, this is 2021. You've got Ryan Tannehill throwing for 350 and Derrick Henry running for almost 200. So you didn't, it's not like you gave them the pass to take away the run. You took away nothing. You gave them everything that they wanted in this game. That might make it even worse. And then, yeah, the very next week, remember this game, the Vikings game, 323 yards to Kirk Cousins and 112 yards to their backup running back. A Vikings team that ended up being, just like pretty mediocre this year, not even a really good Vikings team. And here's a game against the 49ers several weeks later, November. Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance combined for like 320 passing yards. And they run the ball effectively. Like, look at these games. Look at this game against the Rams. Matt Stafford throws for 365 yards on you. You've got, what is this one? This was last year against the Lions. Jared Goff throws for 380. Remember this one? Yeah, the Jared Goff game where we literally could not punt. If we punted once, we would have lost. And we were able to put the win together because the offense went off. But the defense, like 380 yards to Jared Goff. This was when the Lions were bad, by the way. The Lions were bad the first half of the season. So don't give me nothing about how, the Lions were actually good. No, they were bad when we played them. And, even the wild card game last year, where I know we were all happy that we made the playoffs, we felt like we had already won. Brock Purdy throws for 332. They have 500 total yards of offense because they run the ball all over us as well. And again, it's just one of these things where you're not stopping anything. You're not taking anything away. And what did these games look like? I ask all Seahawks fans, what did these games look like? Think about these games in your head. Think about what they looked like as you were watching them. They looked a lot like yesterday's game. Wide receivers running wide open over the middle. Quarterbacks just spamming the ball to their crossers and flood zone stuff. Just the same stuff over and over and over and over again. Where you wonder why it takes so many years for them to figure out how to fix it. Minimal pass rush in a lot of these games, by the way. Just like it was yesterday. So it's not just one game. It's the same game we've been watching over and over and over again for years. And we keep waiting for our defensive back, pass defense, secondary guru to fix. So yeah, I just want people to understand it's not just one game. It's the game we've been watching at least a few times a year, pretty much every year since the Legion of Boom fell apart. The only reason why it only happened once or twice last year was because our run defense was so bad, quarterbacks didn't really get the chance to go off on us that much because they could just run the ball. And I guess we fixed that, but this is the problem that still remains. We let quarterbacks pick us apart underneath, and honestly, yesterday was even worse because we let Stafford hit deep balls too. He was hitting deep balls. A couple were dropped, one was overthrown, but he hit a couple, and if he had better receivers in that game, he may have ended up with like 400 passing yards in that game. He did pretty much everything that a quarterback can do: short, medium, long, sideline, middle, back, like everything just worked. In some ways yesterday's game was worse, but it's the same basic idea. No pressure, just letting receivers run wide open over the middle against your soft zone. And that does a couple different things. First of all, we lose that game yesterday. That's a game we're going to be chasing the rest of the season. No matter what this season ends up being, probably, we're going to sit here thinking to ourselves, man, if we had just won that stupid week 1 game against the Rams, then we would have won the division, made the playoffs, got this, got that. Unless we're terrible this year, we are going to end up chasing that loss for the rest of the season. And until we can beat a team that we have no business beating, like the Bengals or the Eagles, we're going to be chasing it. So understand that that effect can never go away because there are not many opportunities to get wins like the one that we had yesterday that we completely threw away. So understand that, but a bigger problem than that even maybe is the fact that this can happen again at any time because we've seen it over and over and over again. We could go the next 2 months and the pass defense settles down. We start getting pressure. We start seeing better play from the secondary. We start seeing defensive backs play tighter and everything's good. But we know this game is probably coming because it's been coming for half a decade. So yeah, I'm not trying to downplay this at all. And to anybody out there who is, I gotta ask, like, why? Like, why do you think this is some insignificant little thing? Why do you think yesterday was just a one-off thing when clearly it's not? This defense has not been anything better than slightly above average for several years running now. Several years running. And most every year we have at least a few games like this where you swear that the receivers are practicing against air with how easily they get open. It looks like a walkthrough. So, sorry, I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing any of the downplaying that people are trying to do. But I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. More videos later.